Alright guys, so welcome back into another PGA DFS video. This week we've got the Zozo Championship, and it's actually going to be the first time that this event has been played here, so it'll be kind of an interesting one to see. Definitely more of one that's going to be more fun to watch. DraftKings is kind of predicting that not many people are going to want to play it, or not as many as recently, so that's kind of a little bit unfortunate contest size-wise, but this one is going to be an entertaining one. And looking at the pricing, it's going to be pretty easy to do this stars and scrubs approach on this one, or studs and duds approach on this one, so we'll get into that a little bit more. I will say we will have to check that weather report before tee time comes around. It does look like there could be rain on the Thursday, and it also looks like winds could be a factor as well. And then obviously if it's going to be windy, we are going to want to target those windy players, but that's something we won't really know until it gets a little bit closer. Alright, so going to be going over the stat fits for this event. I'm going to be looking at guys that are going to be ball strikers, going to be greens and regulation players. They don't bogey too much, and that's mostly just because it's a new course, it's a new event here. We don't really know what stats to be looking at completely. I will say that there are a ton of par 3s on this course. I will be looking at that par 3 scoring as well. There's 5, so one more than normal, one less par 5 on this course, so there's an extra par 4 as well. But it's going to be an interesting one, definitely for sure. One that I'm going to be following along quite a bit, just because it's kind of a more fun event. We will be looking at driving accuracy as well. It's not that the fairways are going to be hard to hit. It's the fact that if you miss the fairways, you're going to be in some trouble. So that does worry me, especially if it does get windy. So, if it does get windy, we'll pull that stat in as well. But right now, driving accuracy is going to be kind of one of those secondary stats I'm looking at this week. Here are the best players, stat fit-wise, right now in this season. It's going to be Viktor Hovland, Justin Thomas, Andrew Putnam, Tony Finau, and Adam Hadwin. I will say that Finau and Hadwin haven't had that many rounds under their belt, so their stats are kind of skewed right now due to a few really solid rounds. And then just get into the recent form guys. Harold Varner does continue to play well. I think he has the most cuts made this season so far. We got Rafa Bello, who did really well on that European tour earlier on, and now he's playing well once again. Viktor Hovland, we know what he's done. He just continues to be on a tear. Justin Thomas obviously just won last week. That was a pretty nice one. The strategy to pay up for him really worked out last week, where he pretty much just did studs and duds approach to get Justin Thomas in there, and then Sun Kang and Nate Lashley did pretty well as well, top like 25s for those guys. But getting back to the point, we got Adam Hadwin, who obviously 2 top 10 finishes there, and then Tommy Fleetwood. Tough to say that there's been a better golfer, I guess over the last year. I mean, this dude's made 29 straight cuts in a row now. Yeah, sure, he hasn't taken down that many events, but making 28 straight cuts in a row, that's pretty darn impressive. So those are going to be the guys that are in good recent form, and you'll see some of those in my player pool as well. All right, so let's get into the player pool for this week. Now, the high end is pretty solid. I do think that if you want to pay up for Justin Thomas again this week, you definitely can. I don't think it's going to be more of an emphasis as it was last week, where if you could pay up for him, I thought that you should. But, this is more of a week that if you don't want to pay up for him, I kind of get it. Obviously, it's due to regress somewhat, but that recent form is pretty impressive. Rory, maybe you'll have a little bit of extra motivation due to what Brooks Koepka said, pretty much saying that they don't have a rivalry because Rory hasn't really done that well since Brooks has been on tour, mostly referring to majors. Hideki, he'll probably be a popular play just because of the course and where it's taking place. Obviously, Hideki is a world-class player. I do think he's priced up slightly too much, though. Paul Casey, if it wasn't for that horrible event recently, I don't think it'd be a bad play. Definitely, this course does suit his style of play. I already touched on Tommy Fleetwood quite a bit. Obviously, you're just playing him to lock in pretty much a top 25 finish and going on from there. Once again, if it does get windy, he's going to be a play that I elevate slightly more. But at that price point, I do like those. I don't think he's priced up enough for his recent form. Just really impressive. Then we go down a little bit more. Gary Woodland was a play that we touched on last week. Said, if he's playing his game, that was a course that would really fit him really well. And we saw that T3 last week. It does seem like he's striking the ball really well, which will suit him really well for this week as well. Obviously, I don't think he's going to top 10, but a top 15 finish, not going to be too out of the question there. Viktor Hovland continues to just be on a tear. Pretty much his worst finish on tour so far has been that last finish last week, and that wasn't even too bad. Really just one bad round in there cost him. If he didn't have that, would have been a really solid week for him. But overall, I don't mind that. I definitely like him as a play. He's going to be a really good stat fit this week as well. We look at Tony Finau. Yes, his recent form was solid, but he's been ball striking really well so far in tour, top 10 in the events that he's played so far, so I do like him as well. Going down to Rafa, this is just going to be more of a recent form play. We look at that recent form. It's pretty darn impressive. Yes, there was that miscut 2 events ago, but other than that, been very solid. And I do think he's priced a little bit too cheap. Once again, if it gets windy, I'm going to elevate Rafa a little bit more. All right, and then after that, there's kind of a gap where I just don't see the point of playing some of those guys when I'd rather just drop down and play someone that's going to be just as good. Now, Adam had one. Obviously, we do really like that recent form. That is pretty impressive, which has kind of skewed his stats right now. But obviously, you know, he's playing some really good golf, and at this price point to get someone that's playing that good of golf, I really do like that. I'm not sure if you can play cash, you know, in these events, because I typically like to stay away, and I'm not sure I would play him in cash this week in this type of event. Just kind of throwing that out there. Andrew Putnam, I like this play quite a bit still. Really good recent form, really good stat fit. You know, that could be a core play of mine once again this week. I think I've had him 3 of the last 4 events as a core play, and that's one of the things I like to do. If the player doesn't let you down, just keep playing them if they're in good recent form and if they're a good stat fit for that course. Do you want to bring up Charles Howell? I'm not sure I'll play him this week, but he does seem to be trending in the right form, so we do like that. So just like Gary Woodland last week and this week, if we're playing Gary Woodland, I think we got to play Jason Kokrak, who kind of just the same player, good total driver, good ball striker, you know, not going to make too many mistakes. You know, if Jason Kokrak's playing his game like he did last year, he's going to go out and play well. Harold Varner III, still in some really good form. Don't really get why he's under 7K. It's just kind of a surprising play. Sure, he might not have that winning upside, but he does have that upside to go for, you know, a top 20. And for a value play, that's kind of what you want. So if you're playing, you know, Justin Thomas, I think Harold Varner makes a lot of sense. Ryan Palmer really grades out well stat fit wise. Really good ball striker. Hasn't been making too many bogeys. And good total drivers so far. Good in greens regulation. You know, I don't really trust those stats, but that recent form's there. The stat fit's there right now. As a value play, I really don't mind that. And then going a little bit lower, Nate Lashley. I already touched on this play a little bit. Played him last week with the Justin Thomas lineup, which kind of made it easier. Had a good finish last week, T20. He's just kind of one of those guys where, once again, I like him because he's a good ball striker, good total driver. Definitely priced down a little bit too much. We've seen him have that upside before as well. Sun Kang just seems too cheap for a value play. Now, he is really one that I really don't see like top 10 upside really with him. But, you know, top 15, top 25, not going to surprise us. And then lastly, Keith Mitchell. I'm just going to touch on some GPP plays here. Keith Mitchell, he could go out and score. He could go out in top 10. Same thing for Adam Schenk. You know, if they're playing their game, really wouldn't surprise us. And then I do just want to point out, Adam Long has been playing some really good golf as well. 4 straight made cuts. Definitely seems like a really low price for someone that's been playing some solid golf. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe. And as always, you know, let's keep cashing. Thanks, guys.